Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of the Crusader Chronicles, our regular program highlighting the events, changes, and accomplishments of the Crusader Composite Squadron.
I'm Cadet Staff Sergeant Bartlett.
And I'm First Class Church. In today's episode, we'll tell you about some big changes that recently came to the Crusader Squadron. We'll show you how our recent promotees are learning to lead cadets. We'll tell you about a recent meeting that gave cadets an up-close and personal view of a local fixture. Cadet Neiman interviewed a senior member that recently retired from the Air Force as a pilot, a special promotion for our very own commander, and much more.
So don't go anywhere. This is Crusader Chronicles.
Welcome back to Crusader Chronicles. For fiscal year 2025, the Civil Air Patrol has decided that one of their top priorities will to begin flight training for eligible cadets. And because our squadron has the largest number of qualified instructor pilots in the area, our squadron is poised to take the lead in this ambitious endeavor. However, in light of some of the training requirements, some unexpected changes came to the squadron. For decades, flight training has been conducted in a Cessna 172 due to its size, weight capacity for instructor pilots and students, and other characteristics that make it an ideal plane for new pilots. But for over a decade, the Crusader Composite Squadron has been the custodian to a Cessna 182. Tail number 455CP delivered to the Crusader Composite Squadron brand new in 2007 and remained in the hangar until October 2024. Over the years, it has been an integral part of training and missions for our squadron, as well as various squadrons in the DFW area and throughout Texas. Well, with the new goal of pilot training, and with our squadron having so many instructor pilots, it was no longer ideal to have such a plane appointed to our squadron, as our instructors would have to traverse the DFW Metroplex to obtain a plane suitable for training, making it inconvenient for the volunteers that would now likely take on the lion's share of cadet pilot training. As a result, the decision was made to transfer N455CP to the Sugar Land Composite Squadron, who previously did not have a plane, and the local trainer plane was transferred to the Crusader Composite Squadron. Our new plane is a Cessna 172 with tail number 692CP. It is a 2015 model and was previously assigned to the Black Sheep Composite Squadron in Mesquite, Texas. This plane is fully mission capable, boasting a G1000 glass panel avionics package, and is outfitted with all the specialized equipment needed for the successful execution of Civil Air Patrol missions. In addition to its role as the main training plane for the area, it has already become an integral part of our squadron, taking to the skies multiple times per week since its transfer to its new home inside its hangar at the airport in Grand Prairie.
On November 5th, 2024, our squadron commander, Lieutenant Christiansen, achieved something he has been working towards for a number of years. Without becoming a pilot, which itself provides members of various promotion opportunities, and while strictly working through the Civil Air Patrol Professionalism Development Program, he earned a promotion to the rank of captain. Not only does this require him to complete all the prerequisites in Civil Air Patrol Level 3 program, but his promotion would not be available until he had also spent 30 months as a first lieutenant. His promotion to major will be available after he has completed Level 4 and spent 48 months as a captain. His promotion ceremony, which took place during the squadron meeting that evening, was presented by Group 3 Squadron Commander Stephen Ridio and Major Bethany Hiller. This was a great accomplishment for our squadron commander, whose journey in Civil Air Patrol first began in 1980 as a cadet. As a senior member, Captain Christiansen volunteers for the organization that first supported him and ensures that the cadets are presented with as many opportunities, if not more, than he enjoyed as a cadet. He encourages the cadets to attend encampments and other external CAP activities, and creates activities within our squadron to help cadets learn and succeed.
I'm Cadet Chief Master Sergeant Yoakum, and I'm with Chris Christiansen, Commander of Crusader Composite Squadron, who just received his promotion to Captain tonight. Congratulations on your promotion, sir.
Thank you.
What age were you when you joined Civil Air Patrol?
I was 13 years old.
Your inspiration for coming back as a senior member?
Well, later in life, I found that I could come back and be able to rejoin the squadron to help give back to the cadets like was given to me by senior members back in the past.
What are some accomplishments you have achieved as the squadron commander?
We have grown from 10 cadets to 42. We continue to become more operational, and I see growth at every turn.
On behalf of the entire Crusader Squadron, we would like to thank Captain Christiansen for his devotion to our squadron and Civil Air Patrol, and for his hard work for senior members and cadets alike. Thank you, sir. We would not be where we are in the squadron without you and the other senior members. When asked his views on Civil Air Patrol and the squadron, he said, "We are the sum of our experiences, and we are trying to make this, Civil Air Patrol, the best experience possible."
In honor of National Night Out on October 8th, 2024, Grand Prairie Fire Department visited our squadron. National Night Out is more than an evening of fun. It represents a long-standing community building campaign that has strengthened and fostered a positive relationship with law enforcement, local firefighters, and the surrounding neighborhoods since August of 1984. During their visit to our squadron, the firefighters parked their fire truck right outside of the squadron's meeting area on the airport's apron just behind the terminal. Cadets had the opportunity to see the fire truck up close and ask questions like, how can 4 to 6 people fit in the cab of a fire engine? And learn that a fire truck can hold between 500 and 1,500 gallons of water. One of the highlights of the evening was when senior member Lieutenant Daniel Harris became the first to be given the unique opportunity to take a ride in the aerial platform up to 95 feet above the ground. We are grateful to the Grand Prairie Fire Department for stopping by and for their commitment to keeping Grand Prairie safe.
In September, a leadership activity was held that challenged the cadets' teamwork and problem-solving skills. Led by Cadet Lieutenant Walker, cadets would be blindfolded and tasked with locating a rope that had been placed on the ground by the staff. As if finding the rope without the use of sight wasn't enough, the exercise wouldn't end there. There was a team activity, so once the rope was located, it would be time for the rest of the team to join the exercise. The rope was shaped into a circle, and their objective was to work together to keep the rope in its circular shape. While navigating the challenge of doing so while blindfolded, cadets were not given instructions as to how to keep the rope into a circle, which also forced them to formulate and execute a strategy. The activity emphasized collaboration, communication, and adaptability under pressure.
Senior member Staley retired from a 28-year career in the United States Air Force. Staley began his military journey at the age of 17, enlisting in the Army straight out of high school. Following his initial service, he transitioned to the Army National Guard and later joined the Air National Guard. There, he worked as an aircraft mechanic, focusing primarily on the KC-135 Stratotanker. Throughout his career, Staley was deployed nearly 25 times and flew nearly 100 combat sorties in places like Bosnia, Afghanistan, Qatar, Turkey, and more. And his expertise and commitment left a lasting impact on his fellow pilots and ground teams alike. His work on the KC-135 contributed to the success of numerous missions throughout his career. And when he retired, the Air Force expressed its gratitude with a retirement ceremony, which followed a ceremonial final flight, and he was marshaled by none other than his son, Cadet Samuel Staley. Cadet Senior Airman Neiman caught up with Lieutenant Colonel Staley to ask him about some questions his long military career.
I'm Senior Airman Neiman, and with me today is Lieutenant Colonel Staley, who recently retired out of the Air Force. Thank you for joining us. Can you take us back to the moment you decided to enlist in the Army right after high school?
Yes, my grandfather was in the Army and served in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps.
Your career has spanned multiple branches of the military. What led you to join the Air Force?
Well, after the first year in the Army, I decided I wanted to fly airplanes, and so I joined the Air Force as a KC-135 crew chief.
What drew you to specialize as a crew chief, and why specifically on the KC-135?
Well, I learned that a lot of crew chiefs get hired to be pilots. And originally I wanted to fly fighters, but after being a crew chief on the KC-135, I really came to appreciate the airplane.
After more than 20 deployments, what motivated you to continue deployment?
Well, I felt the work we were doing was important, and I wanted to be a part of it, and just the pride in serving our country.
Reflecting on your career, what stands out as your most proudest moment?
One of my proudest moments is flying wounded service members home to their duty stations where they could receive the proper care.
Thank you for joining us.
On behalf of the squadron, we'd like to congratulate Lieutenant Colonel Staley and thank him for his continued support and dedication to our squadron and all of its members.
Fitness wasn't the only thing Crusader cadets were doing on a PT night, and their tradition of learning to improvise continued. After completing the fitness agenda for the meeting, cadets were split into 4 groups for an aerospace activity. Each group was assigned a celestial body, including Mercury, Venus, the Moon, and Mars, and tasked with using facts about those bodies to create a sustainable base. Cadets had 20 minutes to figure out the base's layout, what amenities would be necessary to sustain a population of astronauts living on the base year-round, and implement certain measures to make life on their assigned celestial body hospitable. While creating their base, cadets would be required to justify their creation to potential investors, incentivizing them to add facilities that would make their design worth funding by said investors. In the moon-based group's case, they planned on building an airport to house extraterrestrial Civil Air Patrol Squadron. A common element included a mine in their base designs, making it possible for them to extract various resources, where that was to sell or to help build the base. When the time was up, the judges called each group up to be individually scored based on how likely they were to invest in their base over the others, and Group 3 won overall.
Planes play a major role in the mission of the Civil Air Patrol, so much so that the Civil Air Patrol has the largest fleet of Cessna model airplanes in the world, from the 172s like the one that just arrived in Grand Prairie to the 182s that are most common throughout CAP, to the model 206 that can be found less frequently throughout the country at various squadrons. Airplanes are the backbone of the search and rescue mission of the Civil Air Patrol. Aerospace education is a cornerstone of the cadet program, and as a way to explain how planes fly, Cadet Airman Stoll led his fellow cadets in an activity that would not only demonstrate lift, but would also give them the opportunity to see it up close for themselves. The lesson began with the explanation of Bernoulli's principle, which describes how the air pressure underneath the wing is higher than the pressure flowing over the airfoil, by creating lift. Using paper, straws, skewers, and tape, cadets were given the opportunity to make their very own airfoils in roughly the shape of a wing. Once the airfoils were complete, a large box fan was placed on a table, and table by table, cadets made their way to the fan and watched as the paper and straw began to rise off the skewer, much in the same way that planes take off as they accelerate down a runway.
On November 5th, 2024, in addition to the promotion of Captain Christiansen, cadet leadership would be restructured, and the squadron would undergo a change of command. Roughly every 6 months, cadets are given the opportunity to apply to join the ranks of cadet leadership. During a month-long application process, cadets were able to apply for cadet staff positions, such as element leader, flight sergeant, and flight commander, and would go to be interviewed by Major Hiller, among others, to determine their suitability. After the selections were made, the role of First Sergeant would now be filled by Cadet Chief Master Sergeant Yoakum, and Cadet Chief Master Sergeant Lopez would step out of that role into the role of HQ Superintendent, and Cadet Second Lieutenant Weinreiter would step into the role of Cadet Deputy Commander for Operations. Due to the constant increasing numbers of our squadron, the change also saw the squadron grow into 2 flights, Alpha Flight and Bravo Flight, and includes an addition section, Curry Flight, focused on the growth of new cadet members in the squadron. With this new structure, the Crusader Squadron will be able to better promote cadet participation along with progression within the cadet portion of the Civil Air Patrol program.
In continuing with the education goals of Civil Air Patrol, on September 24th, cadets learned about the stars. The lesson would begin with cadets learning about the 7 classifications of stars. After the classification portion was complete, they would learn about a star's luminosity and how to calculate it. Finally, they were taught about the temperature of stars, their temperature in Kelvin, and how everything about a star affects its classification. The exercise concluded with the creation of a large map, with each cadet being tasked with ranking stars by their classification and luminosity. The end result was a visual reference that spanned multiple tables and unmistakably demonstrated various portions and stars that cadets could now share with their families and friends.
As a cadet progresses through the Civil Air Patrol cadet program through hard work and dedication, they will eventually find themselves in roles of leadership. Like any leadership role in a program that is military preparation or parallel, at some point they will be expected to lead other cadets. To do so, however, it requires that they are heard. Projecting by screaming or yelling can hurt your throat or damage your vocal cords, so techniques need to be developed to practice their voices without doing any damage. A popular technique is the use of the diaphragm. This allows the flow of forced air and assists with the projection. To practice this technique, a class was held for cadets with the rank of senior airman or above. The cadets learned a proper technique, then practice by calling out various commands and reciting different cadence chants later. Another activity was held where new chants were created, giving the cadets senior airmen an opportunity to practice their new skill. The cadets were broken into 2 groups, and they were assigned and tasking of coming up with their very own jody. Then it was Team 2's turn.
1, 2, 3. What's it about?
It's about flight. It's about power. We stay humble. We go full power.
At the end of the competition, Team 2 would claim the victory. So next time you see the squadron practicing drill, keep your ears open. You just might hear something that sounds familiar.
During each episode, we highlight a cadet and a senior member chosen by leadership that stood out over the previous couple of months in their contributions to the squadron, and the example they set for other squadron members. This episode's featured cadet is Cadet Senior Airman Bartlett. Cadet Senior Airman Bartlett was recently accepted into the Lone Star Emergency Services Academy. His PT scores have consistently gone up. He regularly takes initiative when it comes to cadet activities. He is always professional and sets a great example for his fellow cadets.
This episode's featured senior member is Second Lieutenant Jeff Maddox. Lieutenant Maddox has operated exceptionally well with outside organizations, managing numerous promotional opportunities for the squadron. With appearance for our color guard, and as well as his coordination with a local Veterans Day event to promote the squadron and Civil Air Patrol. In addition, he has also been instrumental in the formation of a PAO group within our cadet program, producing a regular video chronicle for the squadron and further expanding that initiative to a wing activity. He is a good, solid role model for the cadets and his peers. For his contribution to the squadron and Civil Air Patrol on the whole do not seem to be slowing down anytime soon. Thank you, Lieutenant Maddox, and congratulations.
And now, we would like to welcome the newest members of the Crusader Composite Squadron. Joining us from the Newman Squadron are Cadet Master Sergeant Lozano. Welcome to the squadron, and we look forward to working with you. That's it for another episode of Crusader Chronicles. Thanks for joining us, and don't forget to like and share this episode and subscribe to our pages on Facebook and YouTube. For more information about our squadron or Civil Air Patrol, visit crusader.cap.gov or gocivilairpatrol.com.
Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you in the skies.